Hi, Jen here from Jen Michelle Coaching, and today I want to talk about 3 ways to stop settling for less. And I'm going to base this off of just lots of personal experiences with clients and 3 tendencies that I really see women do that leave them not getting what they want when it comes to the love outcomes they're looking for. So let's take a dive into this. And for those of you new to my channel, I would love to invite you to subscribe. I release a video weekly. Number 1. When one is leaning towards the tendency of taking less and settling for less because they have this limiting belief, very deep and very subconscious, that they are not lovable, or if they're getting attention, it's not going to come around again, or I have to make this work because of whatever reason that the ego is sort of latched onto. These are all tendencies that need to be explored and healed within. Otherwise, they run us unconsciously. And so one way in which this occurs is justifying bad behavior. I've had lots of clients who've dealt with breakups, justify bad behavior and a reason to take whatever he has to give in the aftermath of a breakup, even if it is not in alignment with their goals on any level. It's really, really critical that we stay conscious enough to choose ourselves, no matter how painful the situation is or how much we don't want to face that reality. So bad behavior could look like keeping you in his life, but not really knowing what he wants. It could look like, just kind of saying hopeful things that keep you on the fence and keep you sort of in it and fully not able to move on. It could be you putting the blame on yourself and replaying all the things that you could have done differently, but actually not seeing the bigger picture, where we just kind of beat up on ourselves for maybe one thing we said or a mistake we made last week or the week before, and would that have changed the whole outcome, where we start to just rationalize and justify bad behavior and look for a way to blame ourselves and say, if I would have just done this one thing differently, or if I just hang on a little bit longer, then he's going to see what a great partner or girlfriend or whatever I am, and he's going to find his way back. And so if you have this tendency, I invite you to really look at what is and to risk letting him go in turn for honoring yourself and to building a life that you're not settling and that you're not saying no to the things deep down that are most important to you. Your time is valuable, and you really want to hold that space for someone who's ready to step up to the plate, rather than just sort of cycle and loop all of the reasons and patterns that really just keep you from being in present moment awareness, right? Heady things are just a way we avoid dealing with what is, right? It's a way to avoid reality. Of course, this is short-sighted because it leads to a massive mental hangover. But when we deal with what is, we start to heal and a clearing starts to occur, and that yes starts to feel a lot more natural. Number 2, express yourself in what it is that you need. So if you're in a partnership that's rocky, or if you've had just different challenges come up where you're just taking crumbs or you're taking less, it's about putting boundaries in place. Boundaries are very difficult. Consider that boundaries are something new for women, really. Generations of women before us depended upon men for survival. So it is very natural for a boundary to feel hard, because at one point in our lineage, that was not something that we could do. And so consider, if you struggle with boundaries, that does live in us, right? But we're not in that situation, most of us, anymore, right? Where we're dependent in that way. But we still have that visceral reaction as if we are. And so now it's about finding your voice and creating that inner safety to speak up for what it is that you need. That's not okay with me. I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't want heavy drinking. I'm just giving examples of like what it looks like to speak your truth and to hold space for it versus to rationalize and justify bad behavior. So it's really about putting a boundary in place, standing calmly, tall and kind and compassionate with it, but firm and in as few words as possible. Number 3, Noticing if you're starved for love. This is such a big one. This is a big one where we do take less than what we deserve. We're so starved for it. We don't know if it's ever going to come around again, that scarcity mindset. And I invite you to take a step back and think, whose voice is this, right? There's a truth that the way we speak to our children becomes their inner voice. And so we have that inner voice from the way we were programmed early on. So whenever I get really critical with myself or whenever I'm being really hard on myself, I have to stop and think, whose voice is this? And I notice that, and then I gently and lovingly hold that space for myself and for that little girl inside of me that bought into what she was taught so many years of her life. And I begin to heal, and I begin to show up, and I begin to give new insight and reprocessing to those parts of me that, just absorbed something unhealthy or didn't know that there was a different way at the time. And so this becomes a much more sacred and healing practice for us as we're willing to look at where this comes from and where we need to really meet ourselves with deeper inquiry and deeper compassion. So I hope that these 3 tips are really helpful to you. I would love to hear. Please drop in the comments below and share. And if you'd like to learn more about me, please visit jenmichellecoaching.com. I have my waitlist back up for the group. I have linked it below. Please join us. We will be running the offering again in January. Much love. See you next week.